My name is Luke Mardigan, and you are listening to Be Insured, where we talk about business, leadership, and insurance. That way, on your worst day, when you need it the most, you will be insured. All right, leaders, when times get stressful, is your gut reaction to control or lead? Last month, we talked about leading versus controlling, and so I have one question for you in this next season of your business. Do you see yourself more as an individual with people who work for you, or do you see yourself more as a leader and a team builder? If you are the first, go ahead and just change channels. There's probably some soft rock or something you can listen to. If you are the second, then this is for you, absolutely unequivocally for you. This is going to talk about you leading a team, and we are focused on how to transition from controlling to leading. And I am joined by my awesome co-host,
Eric Gestring, the Mardigan Agency.
So as a recap, listeners, last month we talked about how some leaders have controlling tendencies, and this goes back to the Industrial Revolution and the military complex and how our parents taught them how to lead, right?
And why unions started and all that.
Yeah. We dug into like some deep history stuff. It was like I don't know, it was pretty cool. I liked it. But we talked about controllers operate out of fear, right? They're afraid of losing power, so they keep everyone under their thumb. They operate out of anger, right? You didn't do what?
And that usually is counterproductive, is what we're getting at there.
Yeah, super counterproductive because, fear is the opposite of love, right? So if your team doesn't feel loved, they leave.
And there's no empowerment.
Where's
love
the love?
Is empowering. So
there's one of my favorite episodes of Ballers on HBO. It's a
good show
about some NFL players, and one of the guys is getting shopped to a bunch of teams as a free agent, and he leaves and he's like, where's the love? And they meet him at the airport and he's got a private jet with a band playing and the head coach is there and stuff. Where's the love? That's what your team's saying. Where's the love? Don't operate out of fear. So controllers obsess or overthink a situation. So rather than just making a call, and that actually starts with training your people, right? Because if your people come to you and they're just like, I think the sky's falling, and there's no solutions, then you didn't train them well. You didn't lead them. You're controlling them.
And knowing them. I mean, how much work do we put into understanding the team and each member of the team and doing the assessments to understand their personality type and their skill set and everything like that? And you have to put people in the right places. There's so much that goes into it, right?
Right. So you don't want to obsess or overthink about a situation, because if your team comes to you and says the sky is falling, but they don't have any solutions, that means you didn't train them well. So if you don't train them well, then they're not going to bring solutions to you. I taught from a great leader, Dave Williams, led a church for 30 years. And his big thing was, if you come to me with a problem, you bring 2 to 3 solutions. And then you tell me which one you think is the best. My brother's a police officer here in mid-Michigan, and he does the same thing with his team members. He's a supervisor, so his road officer, same thing. So what happens is you obsess or overthink about the situation because you want to control it. And reality is it's all an illusion of control because your name is CEO, boss, whatever.
That's
and
true.
For those who are controllers, they also will make decisions too quickly. So it's like the other end of the spectrum, right? You have like one end of the pendulum, which is like, I'm going to overthink and obsess it, and I'm the only one who can figure it out. And so I'm just going to take 7 weeks and think about it. And then I'm going to come down from the mountain with my tablets like a Moses and tell you how things are going to be. And then the other one is the knee-jerk reaction. Well, I'm just going to make a decision right now because then I'm in control. It might not be the best decision. It probably isn't the best decision, but it's my decision. And so you're going to do what I say.
I think it's important to be humble enough to take information from the whole entire team and come up with a calculated, decision that can definitely resolve any situation.
Well, theoretically, I should have to make very few decisions because my team's going to come to me and say, hey, this is what's going on. These are our best options. I think this is the best option. What do you think? And then I can just say, yep, that's the right decision. Or, hey, I think actually C is probably better. Or, hey, here's D. You didn't even know this was an option. So now you're educated even more. Now next time you know that D is also one of the options.
And then usually part of their options or resolutions are the right things. You just need to tweak it or add a little bit to it, right?
Right, exactly.
But I think self-awareness is difficult for some people. How do you go about evaluating whether you're a controller or leader, Luke?
Oh, see, here's the problem is that controllers won't do this. So that's why I told them to turn the channel. So if you're listening right now, we're like 4 minutes into the episode. I'm assuming you want to be a leader of people in this next season. You want to build a team. And so self-awareness, the way that you know whether you're a controller or leader is you actually sit down one-on-one and you ask your people. Or they're telling you and you're not listening.
I think you're right on that. I think that we both have experienced that before.
Yep.
So
because it'll look like, and then this is where relationship happens. Because Eric, we function more as partners in the agency, and I'll have a team member come to me and be like, "Hey, Eric came to me and said this, and I don't know what that means," and it kind of bothered me or upset me or confused me or some negative response, and then I'm like, "Well, I don't know." So then
talk.
Yeah, hey, they said this. What was your intention? Okay, you might want to go back and clear that up because it caused some confusion or frustration.
And then it goes both ways, yeah.
So now you're aware of it because of our relationship, because we can talk to each other about that stuff. And now the employee feels comfortable talking to you directly about it because you just came and dealt with the elephant in the room where they thought as the employee, I can't bring that up to them because I would, they're in a position of authority or whatever their internal belief system is from their parents who taught them that controlling leadership is the norm.
Yep.
Right.
It's true.
So
it happens.
So that's really the self-awareness thing. How do you go about whether knowing you're a controller or a leader? That's really it. Last episode, we gave a pretty good breakdown of the things that you might be struggling with identity. You might be controlling a little bit. So you can go back and listen to those podcasts.
So once somebody becomes aware of they're a controller, how do they get the ball rolling to becoming a leader if they choose to be?
We briefly touched on this last episode.
Talked about a coach.
Hire a coach. If I had to recommend one, it would be Unleashed CEO, Richard Shaw. I have not seen a program like this. I have invested tens of thousands of dollars in coaching, in all the gurus programs on Facebook and whatnot. And I give my absolute sponsorship to Unleashed CEO, the Unleashed Academy, and Richard Shaw. Their team and their programs are unlike any. And it's growing, expanding. They're doing stuff that I didn't expect them to do, and they're even doing more right now.
Do you think that's because he digs into your identity a lot to start?
I think it's because he digs into every CEO's identity first. So, this is the way that coaching typically works. And this is why anyone who just heard hire a coach was like immediately, la, 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 like fingers in ear, like, I can't hear you. What?
Well, I've been there.
Yeah. I don't need a coach. Yeah. What do you mean? I'm doing fine. Why would I need a coach? I'm not going to spend more money on something. The budget's already tight. I would rather go buy a lake house than hire a coach. True. It's actually a valid point.
Yeah.
I would rather too, but how about you have both? That's how millionaires think, right? How can I have both? So when it comes to hiring a coach, here's the issue with most coaches. They're not practitioners. They have never done what you do. They're somebody who had success in some industry at some point. I remember someone that I looked up to and studied his stuff for a long time until I realized it wasn't quite accurate. He was really successful in the automotive business. And so because of his success there, which was just a one-time thing like 50 years ago, he's become a public speaker and he has all this books and programs, and he's a great guy. Don't get me wrong, but that wasn't the coach that I needed to hire because he had no success in the insurance industry or financial services. So you need to find somebody who's actually running their organization actively today, not just their guru coach organization, but actually running a business that's very similar or parallels yours or has some deep dive experience in that.
I think you're onto it right there. I think that's dead on. And I think the biggest thing about having a coach is the accountability. Do you feel like accountability is important?
I don't think it's so much accountability. I think most business owners are in business and still in business
because they're somewhat accountable.
Yeah. Like they're able to hold themselves accountable to some extent.
But there's the things that we don't see. Right.
No. So really we need a guide.
Like a guru.
Yeah, sure.
A shaman.
A shaman. We need to spend 7 years in Tibet. Anyways, the reality is we need a guide because we don't know what the next steps are. All of us as business owners, we sit and we plan and strategize, and we have, the best laid plans of mice and men, but we have absolutely no clue. And typically as business owners, what ends up happening is we end up feeling very alone and unsure. So you have organizations who are just kind of wandering helplessly, unsure of what the next step is. Do I hire somebody? How do I hire somebody? How much do I pay them? Unless you have somebody who has the identical belief system as you and has the model that you already know you want to build that's identical to what you want to build, then you have no clue what the next step is and no one else does either. So you need to have a coach who can work you through that so that you can make a decision. Coach, it's less about accountability as it is empowering. A good coach will empower you to make the best decision for your organization.
And then that in turn helps you to empower your team to get the most out of the organization.
And then it's your decision, right? So you want to be a control freak and you're trying to get over being a control freak? Well, the best way to be a control freak and still lead is to own your own decisions. So if it's your decision, you're the one who decided my next hire is going to be X position and this is how much I'm going to pay them, then now that's your decision. You've taken control of the situation. Now it's a matter of getting everybody else to understand why you made that decision so that they believe what you believe, that is the best position.
Without belief, you don't have it. So.
Yes. And, you know, we talked about that before. We have so many people operating on borrowed belief systems, right? So that's the thing is you don't want a coach who's going to tell you what to believe. You want a coach who helps you uncover what you already believe. Because a lot of times we'll have a mission statement or, you know, like some type of goal or core values, and they're just kind of abstract and they don't really mean anything.
Super broad.
Yeah. Or, you know, like I love every financial advisor's little mission statement is to provide you a customized financial program that helps you achieve your dreams or goals.
Literally everyone.
Every single one of them. It's like, what does that even mean? Like how do you, first of all, how do you know what my dreams and goals are before we meet?
Well, I think they're implying that after we meet, I'll know. Hopefully.
Yeah, I'm sure they would, but I would rather somebody say, I help insurance agents retire at age 55 with over $10 million in assets. Oh, that's exactly what I want to do.
Yeah.
Like, you know how to do that.
Just target a specific area,
yeah,
right?
It's people just don't know what they believe. And so they have these like blank phrases that don't mean anything. Well, a good coach is going to help you dig into that and figure out who you actually are best able to serve and how your program helps them. And if you ever approach somebody who doesn't know who they serve and how to best serve that individual group of people, then they're not going to be good at what they do. They're going to be generalist. It's kind of like going to your family doctor. Like if you have a cold, totally okay with going to your family doctor, right? It's like, I got a sinus infection. I just need a Z-Pack. Just take care of me, doc. I don't care. But if I find a lump under my armpit, I'm not going to my family doctor.
I want to see a specialist.
I'm going to see a specialist. I'm going to go see somebody who helps people with lumps in their armpit diagnose what it is and discover the best treatment for it, right?
I think, what do you think of the incorporating us and our team reading a book called Extreme Ownership and how that's affected the team? Do you think that's helpful as a leader? Yeah,
if you want to be a controlling leader, then take ownership of your own crap. That is the only thing you can control is your own beliefs and your own actions.
Yep.
And if you don't own them, your team won't own theirs. And so that means you're going to go to them and go, hey, you said that you were going to get XYZ done, but you never got XYZ done. What's going on? And they're going to be like, well, it's because the system was down Thursday at 4:00. And then I had to go run my kid to soccer. And then I had to, and excuse, all these things that are out of their control, right? There is no excuse. It's, you take ownership. I didn't get it done. I'm off track, but I'm going to get on track, right? That's the only option is either I'm on track or I'm off track, but I'm going to get on track. And here's the plan to get on track. So Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink and Leif Babin. They are former or retired SEALs. I don't even know if you call former SEALs.
One was a commander and then his basically his chief, I think. So
just incredible book. Anything that Jocko puts out, I'm a fan of his podcast, everything. My kids read his kids' books like on a monthly basis. I have them read a chapter or two of one of his kids' books. But Extreme Ownership is one that I give out to other leaders because I think until you can own your own crap, it's impossible to actually lead other people.
Yeah. And then it's also good for your team because they own their own stuff too, right? When they get into that book, they understand that, oh man, little things come to mind where they're like, I literally just made excuses about that and never owned any of that, you know?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, for me, the ultimate example of leadership is Jesus, right? And what he says, like, come to me, take upon my yoke because I am humble, I am meek, right? And so when you go to your team and you say, I am taking ownership of my crap, I am humble, I am meek. I mean, I don't know anybody who has a bigger Twitter following than Jesus right now, you know? So people follow him. And that's what it takes is that posture of humility as a leader to be able to say that you don't have it all together and you're not going to always get it right, but you're going to get back on track when it's time to get it.
And if there is anybody out there listening that is a controller, just know that you can change if you want to.
100%. You know how you change? Hire a coach. They're going to help you. Because if you're not willing to submit yourself to someone else, then your people will not be willing to submit to you. Leadership and beliefs are caught. They're not taught. That is something that most controllers refuse to believe. But unless you live it and you show it, your people will never catch on to how you're leading, and then they'll never follow your example, and you won't be a team. You'll be a group of individuals.
Amen.
And that is how you destroy your business. So we hope you found today's show helpful. Don't forget to listen to part 1 of this episode if you haven't already. It's just a few episodes back. And as always, be sure to connect with us at the Marketing Agency on Facebook and Instagram. And how can people connect with you, Eric?
Eric Farm Bureau on Instagram, Eric Stephen Gessring on Facebook.
And thanks, and we'll see you next time on Be Insured.